Seniors, stop. Never refrigerate these 9 foods. Here's why. Have you ever opened your fridge and thought, am I storing this food the right way? You're not alone. In fact, millions of people, especially older adults, refrigerate certain foods thinking it keeps them fresh, when it could actually be doing the opposite. What if I told you that keeping some everyday groceries in the fridge might be quietly harming your health, changing their nutrients, or even creating toxic compounds? This isn't about food safety headlines or obscure rules. It's about common mistakes in the kitchen that almost no one talks about. Mistakes that can lead to nutrient loss, texture changes, and even dangerous chemical reactions. And it all starts with good intentions. So today, I'm walking you through 9 everyday foods that should never go in the refrigerator, and exactly why. If you're a senior looking to stay healthy, independent, and in control of your well-being, this might be one of the most important food conversations you'll hear all year. Let's get started. Bread, why your sandwich might be staler than it should. Bread is more than just food. It's comfort, routine, and often the base of meals we've made for decades. Whether it's morning toast or a midday sandwich, it's in almost every kitchen. So it's no surprise that many of us think keeping bread in the fridge is a smart way to preserve it. But here's the twist. That cold storage might actually be working against you. Refrigerating bread accelerates staling. That's because cold temperatures cause the starch molecules in bread to recrystallize. This process, called retrogradation, forces moisture out of the loaf and makes it go dry and hard, sometimes overnight. What started as a soft slice quickly becomes stiff, crumbly, and far less enjoyable. It's frustrating because you're trying to keep it fresh, but the fridge actually shortens its shelf life, at least when it comes to texture and taste. So what's the better option? Keep your bread at room temperature in a bread box or cloth bag, away from heat and humidity. If you won't finish the loaf within a few days, freezing is a smarter move than refrigerating. Just pre-slice it, store it in an airtight bag, and defrost what you need when you need it. This small change helps you avoid waste, enjoy better-tasting bread, and reduce your reliance on processed replacements. Next, let's move on to something that's not just breakfast. It's a whole kitchen staple many of us brew daily, and it might be losing its health benefits before you even drink it. You may have noticed toast turning too hard or sandwiches becoming dry and crumbly. But it doesn't stop there. When refrigerated bread meets the warm air in your kitchen, moisture can accumulate inside the bag, creating ideal conditions for mold. Moldy bread isn't just unpleasant. It can also be dangerous, especially for seniors with weakened immune systems. So what's the better storage method? If you're planning to eat the bread within a few days, keep it in a sealed bag or container at room temperature, preferably in a bread box or pantry. Want it to last longer? Slice and freeze it, then toast or thaw as needed. It's a simple fix that helps you enjoy your meals without worrying about hidden risks. And speaking of hidden, let's move on to a small but mighty ingredient that's surprisingly sensitive to cold: onions. Onions, the mold magnet of the fridge, are a tiny ingredient with a powerful punch. Whether you're preparing a hearty stew or just adding flavor to your eggs, onions are essential. But here's a question. Are you storing your onions in the fridge? If so, you might be shortening their lifespan and creating other issues. Whole onions have a natural protective skin that helps them stay fresh in dry environments. But when placed in the fridge, the cold and humidity work against this natural defense. Moisture begins seeping in, softening the layers and speeding up spoilage. If you found soggy onions with dark spots or mold in your crisper drawer, that's why. But there's more. Onions are highly aromatic. When kept in a cold, enclosed space, they release sulfur compounds that don't just break down quickly, but also transfer odors to nearby foods. Ever noticed your butter or fruit tasting oddly like onions? That's fridge cross-contamination in action. It gets trickier with cut onions. Once sliced, onions become more susceptible to bacterial growth, especially if they're not tightly sealed. Some myths claim onions absorb toxins, but it's actually more about moisture and bacteria. A half-used onion in a damp fridge can quickly become a breeding ground. So what should you do instead? Keep whole onions in a cool, dry, dark spot like a pantry with good airflow. Once cut, store them in an airtight container and use them within a couple of days. You can even wrap them in paper towels to absorb extra moisture. Small changes, but they make a big difference in taste and health. Next, let's explore one more misunderstood item, tomatoes, and why they should never be chilled. Tomatoes cold kills the flavor. Bright, juicy, and full of sunshine, tomatoes bring color and life to dishes, whether in a fresh salad, warm soup, or pasta sauce. But there's one thing they don't like: the fridge. Tomatoes are tropical fruits that thrive in warmth. Placing them in the cold, especially before they're fully ripe, disrupts their natural process. Here's what happens. Cold temperatures damage the enzymes that give tomatoes their vibrant taste and texture. Instead of ripening fully and developing the sweet, tangy flavors we love, chilled tomatoes become dull, mealy, and watery. Ever bitten into a tomato that felt rubbery or flavorless? That's the fridge's doing. And it's not just about taste. Cold storage also leads to nutrient loss, especially vitamin C, which tomatoes are known for. When vitamin C degrades, you lose some of the immune-boosting benefits that make tomatoes great for older adults. Another common issue is wrinkled, shriveled skin. Even if the tomato looks fine inside, that dry outer layer signals stress, indicating the fruit didn't get the care it deserved. So, how should you treat your tomatoes? Keep them at room temperature, stem side down, in a bowl or basket, away from direct sunlight. This helps them ripen naturally, retain their nutrients, and develop the full flavor nature intended. And if they get too soft, don't toss them. Use them in a quick tomato sauce, stew, or soup. Nothing goes to waste, just a shift in purpose. Next up, let's look at one of the most potent superfoods in the kitchen and why the fridge might be stealing its strength. Let's talk about garlic, from superfood to silent danger. Garlic is one of those magical ingredients that transforms any dish. Just one clove adds warmth, depth, and a flavor that's hard to describe but easy to love. Beyond its culinary uses, garlic is often hailed as a superfood, thanks to its allicin compounds linked to lowering blood pressure, boosting immunity, and reducing inflammation. But here's the twist. If you store garlic in the fridge, you might be destroying all the benefits it has to offer. Whole garlic bulbs should be stored in dry, cool, and well-ventilated spaces, not cold and humid environments like the fridge. When you refrigerate garlic, it starts to sprout prematurely, making it bitter and rubbery. The strong, healing flavor fades quickly, too. There's a more serious concern as well, especially when garlic is chopped or minced and stored in oil. Garlic and oil mixtures can foster the growth of a rare but dangerous bacterium called Clostridium botulinum. Improper storage can lead to botulism, a severe illness causing paralysis and, in extreme cases, death. It's rare, but for seniors with more fragile health, even small risks matter. The FDA has issued warnings about this, yet many people still do it unknowingly. So, what's the safe way to store garlic? Keep whole bulbs in a mesh bag, open basket, or paper bag in a dry, dark place. If you need to store chopped garlic, mix it with vinegar or lemon juice to prevent bacteria growth and use it within a few days. Better yet, chop fresh as needed. It only takes a minute. Garlic deserves to be powerful, not dangerous, and you deserve food that heals, not harms. Next, let's move from earthy roots to your morning routine, as we look at coffee and why your fridge might be ruining your brew before you even take a sip. Coffee. Why your morning brew tastes like leftovers. For many of us, a warm cup of coffee in the morning is more than just a habit. It's a peaceful moment. That comforting aroma, the first sip, the quiet time before the day begins. It's almost like a ritual. But have you ever noticed that your coffee doesn't taste the same lately? Maybe it's become slightly bitter, flat, or even oddly flavored. Believe it or not, your fridge might be to blame. Coffee, whether whole beans or ground, is incredibly sensitive. Scientists call it hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture and odors from the air. The fridge, full of moisture, smells, and temperature changes, means your coffee can start picking up hints of onions, leftovers, or whatever else is stored nearby. Not exactly the flavor profile you want. And there's more. Every time you open and close the fridge, temperature fluctuations cause condensation inside the container. This moisture leads to clumping, stale flavors, and even mold, especially if you're not using an airtight jar. It's not just about taste. Coffee contains chlorogenic acids, powerful antioxidants that support heart and brain health. These break down faster when exposed to humidity and light, which means you're also losing the health benefits that make coffee a wise choice for older adults. So, what's the better way to store coffee? Keep it in an opaque, airtight container at room temperature. Store it in a dark cupboard, away from the stove or any heat source, and only grind what you need. Fresh grounds make a difference. Coffee should be rich, smooth, and satisfying, not tasting like last night's dinner. Now, let's move to something naturally sweet and seemingly harmless, but not when it's cold. You might be surprised to learn that honey doesn't belong in the fridge either. Honey, a natural preserver until you chill it. Let's take a moment to appreciate honey. Golden, thick, and sweet. Honey is one of the world's oldest natural remedies, used for centuries to soothe sore throats, heal wounds, and even boost the immune system. Many older adults keep a jar for morning tea, toast, or a gentle home remedy. But here's a common mistake: putting honey in the fridge. Seems like a good idea. Keep it cool, keep it safe. But honey is one of the few foods that doesn't spoil at room temperature unless we interfere. When you refrigerate honey, the cold causes it to crystallize quickly. That smooth texture becomes grainy and hard, making it difficult to scoop or spread. While crystallization itself isn't dangerous, it often leads to a bigger issue. Repeatedly opening and closing a cold jar introduces moisture. Moisture is honey's biggest enemy. It disrupts the balance that keeps it safe from bacteria. Over time, this can cause fermentation, giving your honey a sour smell, taste, and foamy appearance. Not very appealing and not healthy either. You might think, but I've always kept it in the fridge. That's okay. It's a common habit and one that's easy to change. Store honey in a sealed glass jar at room temperature, in a cupboard away from sunlight and heat. If your honey has already crystallized, place the jar in warm, not boiling, water to gently bring it back to its liquid form. Remember, honey is powerful on its own. It just needs a little respect, not refrigeration. Now, let's talk about a fruit many people rely on daily, especially for energy and digestion. But if you've been keeping bananas in the fridge, you'll want to hear this. Bananas, the tropical fruit that hates the cold. Let's talk about bananas, one of the world's most popular and beloved fruits. They're soft, easy to digest, and packed with potassium, great for heart health and muscle function. Many older adults reach for a banana as a gentle snack or part of a simple breakfast. But most people don't know that bananas hate the cold. When you store bananas in the fridge, especially before they're ripe, the cold disrupts their natural ripening process. Bananas are tropical fruits that depend on a warm environment to activate the enzymes that turn starches into sugars. In the fridge, those enzymes shut down and bananas stop ripening. Instead, they get cold and the skin turns dark gray or black. Not because they're spoiled, but because the chill has damaged them. Inside, they often become mushy in patches, lose their sweetness, and can even develop a strange metallic taste. But it's not just about texture or appearance. Refrigeration can also reduce key antioxidants found in bananas, like dopamine and catechols, which help reduce inflammation and support brain health. These antioxidants are especially important for older adults who want to stay sharp and active. So what should you do instead? Store bananas at room temperature, ideally hanging or in a fruit bowl where air can circulate. Keep them away from other fruits if you don't want them to ripen too fast. If you have too many ripe bananas, peel them, freeze them in a container, and use them later for smoothies or banana bread. Bananas are meant to ripen naturally, and when they do, they're not just tastier, they're better for you. Next, we'll examine something many of us consider heart healthy, and it is, but only when stored correctly. Olive oil, when heart healthy, becomes harmful. Olive oil is often called liquid gold, and for good reason. Rich in healthy fats and antioxidants, it's a key part of the Mediterranean diet, which is known for reducing the risk of heart disease, lowering inflammation, and supporting brain health. It's a smart choice for many older adults for cooking or dressing salads. But what if I told you that putting olive oil in the fridge could do more harm than good? When stored in cold temperatures, olive oil solidifies and turns cloudy. While that change in appearance might seem harmless, The real concern is what happens over time, especially when the bottle repeatedly goes in and out of the fridge. Every time the oil warms and cools again, its chemical structure experiences stress. This repeated exposure can lead to oxidation, which breaks down the good fats and may generate free radicals, unstable molecules that contribute to aging and inflammation. For someone trying to manage joint pain, heart issues, or chronic inflammation, that's the exact opposite of what we want. Furthermore, refrigerated olive oil loses its flavor. The peppery, fruity richness that makes it such a pleasure to eat becomes dull, heavy, and harder to pour. So how should you store it? Keep olive oil in a dark glass or metal container in a cool, dry cabinet, away from heat sources like the stove or window. When stored properly, high-quality olive oil can last up to 2 years without losing its health benefits. Like our bodies, olive oil needs gentle care to stay strong and nourishing. Now that we've uncovered the truth about oil, let's wrap things up with something practical and inspiring. How to reorganize your kitchen for optimal health. How to reorganize your kitchen for optimal health. Let's take everything we've learned and turn it into action. The truth is that even the healthiest foods can lose their benefits or become harmful if stored in the wrong place. But the good news is you don't need a fancy kitchen or a complete makeover to fix it. Simple changes can protect your food, health, and peace of mind. Here's how to get started. Group foods by type. Keep tropical fruits like bananas and avocados in a fruit bowl, not in the fridge. Store root vegetables like potatoes and onions in cool, dark drawers or baskets with airflow. Label your zones. Reserve the fridge for cold dairy, meats, and leafy greens. Give everything else a proper spot on the counter, in the pantry, or in a cabinet. Use the right containers. Glass jars with tight lids are perfect for coffee, grains, and seeds. Mesh bags are great for garlic and onions. Avoid plastic whenever you can, as it holds odor and traps moisture. Keep things visible. What we see is what we eat. Arrange your kitchen so that fresh, healthy choices are front and center. Even little changes like moving your honey to the cupboard or keeping olive oil away from the stove can make a big difference over time. And remember, your kitchen isn't just a place to cook. It's a place to care for yourself and your family. So take a moment today. Open your fridge, check your pantry, and reorganize with purpose. Because the path to better health doesn't always start at the doctor's office. Sometimes it starts right at home. Let's take a moment to recap what we've learned today. From potatoes to olive oil, we've uncovered 10 everyday foods that don't belong in your fridge. And more importantly, why. We've discussed lost nutrients, surprising chemical reactions, and small mistakes that can grow into big problems over time. But we've also seen that the solutions are simple. A shift in storage, a little label on the shelf, a new habit in handling your ingredients. And that's the beauty of it. You have the power to protect your health every time you open your fridge or reach for the pantry. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you been refrigerating any of these foods without realizing the risks? What small change are you inspired to make starting today? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story could be something someone else needs to hear. If you found this video helpful, please consider hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing it with a friend or loved one who cares about healthy living too. More to come, more tips, truth, and ways to feel your best at every age. Until next time, take care of yourself. Remember, your health starts at home.